If you spend any time on the internet, you are being sold a lie. You are being told that the ultimate goal, the moment you finally make it, is the multi-million-dollar exit, the viral IPO, the garage filled with supercars. But the smartest, wealthiest people in the world know that the million-dollar milestone is actually a distraction. The most profound, life-altering financial shift you will ever experience does not happen at $1 million. It happens the exact moment your liquid bank account crosses $100,000. Before this specific milestone, your brain is trapped in survival mode. Life is a series of anxious calculations regarding the cost of groceries, the rising price of gas, and the terrifying urgency of next month's rent. You cannot think 5 years ahead when you are panicking about Friday. But the day you hit $100,000, a literal chemical shift happens in your brain. The immediate pressure of tomorrow's bills simply evaporates. You transition from defense to offense. You stop surviving and you start conquering. Charlie Munger famously said, "The first $100,000 is a bitch, but you gotta do it." If I lost everything today and had to hit my first $100,000 in cash by the year 2026, I would follow a ruthless, disciplined, 6-step behavioral roadmap centered entirely on the aggressive management of capital and time. Phase 1 is tactical deprivation. The journey to your first $100,000 does not begin with making more money. It begins with a violent suppression of your living costs. Society tells you to treat yourself the moment you get a paycheck. The wealthy do the exact opposite. To build the initial runway required for risk-taking, you must commit to a temporary, absolute state of frugality. This means zero dining out. This means buying generic brands at discount grocers. This means a complete and total freeze on all clothing or lifestyle purchases for 24 months. Your shelter should be as brutally inexpensive as possible. If that means swallowing your pride and moving back in with your parents, you do it. If it means sharing a cramped apartment with 3 roommates to drive your rent down to a few $100s, you do it. Your transportation is downgraded to a paid-off ugly clunker to entirely eliminate the poison of a monthly car payment. People will look at you and think you are struggling. Let them. The goal of this radical cost-cutting is not to suffer. It is to create what we call cash flow fluff, extra unallocated money that you can weaponize. When your living expenses are fundamentally crushed to zero, every single dollar you generate can be redirected into acquiring the high-income skills necessary to accelerate the timeline. You are not depriving yourself, you are buying your freedom.
Phase 2. The Kobe Bryant Asymmetry. Financial capital is only half of the equation. To hit $100,000 rapidly, you must violently reclaim your time. A standard 9-to-5 job is not a dream killer. It is a stable foundation. The real tragedy, the reason most people stay broke forever, occurs between 5 p.m. and 9 a.m. What you do before you clock in and after you clock out dictates your net worth. When Kobe Bryant wanted to dominate the NBA, he didn't just practice with the team. He woke up at 4 a.m. to get a full, agonizing practice session in before the rest of the world even opened their eyes. By adopting this exact mentality, doing extra reps while your competition is resting or watching Netflix, you effectively bend time. You move forward 3 times faster than a normal human being. As your side hustle grows and you transition into building your business full-time, you must adopt the 4-4-4 split. This is the most mathematically effective use of an entrepreneur's waking hours. You allocate 4 hours strictly to promotion, marketing, and acquiring new attention. You allocate 4 hours to service delivery, fulfilling your promises to your current clients. And the final 4 hours, you spend them building the future, curating systems, prioritizing new opportunities,
and sharpening the blade. 12 hours of ruthless, structured execution.
But to maximize these 12 hours, you must understand a critical psychological divide. You must understand the difference between being a maker and being a manager. A manager's day is sliced into tiny, frantic pieces. It is defined by constant emails, Slack notifications, frequent touchpoints, and 5-minute chunks of rapid decision-making. But a maker, the person actually creating the value, writing the copy, editing the content, or coding the software, requires a completely empty, undisturbed calendar for deep, focused work. Neurologically, task switching is the ultimate killer of wealth creation. Every time you stop deep work to check an email, your brain suffers a context-switching penalty, taking roughly 23 minutes to regain its previous level of focus. Therefore, the single most effective habit of self-made millionaires is aggressively protecting the first 4 to 6 hours of their day as sacred maker time. They lock their doors, turn off their phones, and refuse to let the chaotic distractions of manager time infect their focus. Phase 3. The 1-1-1 Rule. With your time and money secured, your focus must violently shift to researching and learning high-demand skills. The biggest mistake beginners make is chasing unproven trends, trying to invent the next massive AI software or crypto token. That is a lottery ticket, not a strategy. Instead, you must identify what businesses and consumers are already paying for today and simply offer to do it better. In the B2B sector, this means providing services that generate more money for the client, like cold outreach, lead generation, or sales funnel building. In the B2C sector, it means providing services that give people their time back. And when you find that service, you do not diversify. You follow the 1-1-1 rule. You sell one product to one specific customer avatar on one single marketing channel until you hit $1 million. You do not start a podcast, a newsletter, and a TikTok account all at once. You pick one lane and you dominate it with absolute singular focus. Phase 4. 10,000 iterations. True learning is not merely consuming content. Watching 100 YouTube videos on marketing does not make you a marketer. True learning is defined by a permanent change in behavior under the same conditions. Everyone knows the famous 10,000-hour rule, which states that mastery takes 10,000 hours of practice. But the billionaire class knows that rule is flawed. Rapid skill acquisition requires 10,000 iterations, not just 10,000 hours. The key is the speed of your feedback loop. If you spend a year building one perfect product and it fails, you have learned one lesson in 365 days. But if you launch a new, messy iteration every single day for a year, you have learned 365 lessons in the exact same time frame. By analyzing the top 10% of performers in your field, identifying the specific, microscopic details that separate them from the bottom 90%, and replicating those successes through high-volume repetition, you literally shortcut the path to mastery. And you accelerate this process by reinvesting your saved capital into tools that provide leverage, implementation help such as one-on-one tutoring, and rapid trial attempts like paid advertising. Phase 5. The ego tax. The final and perhaps most brutally difficult step is resisting lifestyle creep. I know dozens of high earners making over $300,000 a year who will never reach the $100,000 savings mark. Why? Because they spend every single dollar they generate to maintain the appearance of wealth. They pay the ego tax. They upgrade their car, their watch, and their zip code the second their income increases, permanently resetting their survival baseline to zero. To truly bank the money, you must treat everything beyond basic food and shelter as profit to be aggressively reinvested into further growth. Reaching this $100,000 checkpoint is not about buying luxury. It is about satisfying the base of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It ensures that you no longer have to worry about paying rent tomorrow, so that you can focus entirely on changing the world the day after. The first $100,000 buys your autonomy. Go get it.
Phase 6. The asymmetrical bet. So you have sacrificed your lifestyle. You have guarded your time like a billionaire. You have iterated 10,000 times, and you have finally crossed the $100,000 threshold. What happens next? The biggest mistake people make at this exact moment is taking their foot off the gas and buying the Porsche. They think the game is over. But the $100,000 is not the finish line. It is the starting line. Once you have $100,000 in liquid capital, you have built a fortress. And from inside that fortress, you can now make what wealthy investors call asymmetrical bets. An asymmetrical bet is a decision where your downside is strictly capped, but your upside is infinite.
When you are broke, you cannot take risks because failing means you can't pay rent. But when you have $100,000 sitting in the bank, you can take $10,000 and use it to hire an elite mentor, launch a massive ad campaign, or build a new software prototype. If the prototype fails, you lose $10,000. Your downside is capped. You still have $90,000 and your life doesn't change at all. But if that prototype succeeds, it could generate $5 million. That is an asymmetrical bet. The first $100,000 gives you the psychological armor required to fail 5 times in a row without flinching until you hit the home run on the 6th try. That is the true power of the milestone. It removes the fear of failure.
Getting to your first $100,000 is going to be a grueling, lonely, and difficult journey. But it is the ultimate filter that separates the talkers from the builders. If you are ready to stop playing defense and start building your financial fortress, hit that subscribe button right now. We are building a community of people who refuse to settle for the average paycheck-to-paycheck trap. Drop a comment below and tell me, which of the 6 phases are you currently struggling with the most right now? Your time, your ego, or your focus? I read every comment. Keep building, and I will see you in the next one.